So you've tried all the things, the sticker charts, the bite goals and bite counts, hiding the spinach inside of the muffins, maybe feeding therapy. Might have looked more like bribery with a credential behind it, but maybe you gave it a shot. And still, they're only eating 5 foods. Meal times are exhausting. Your gut says, why is my kid not eating like all of the other kids? Okay, the truth is you're not wrong. Most feeding advice, even sometimes from professionals, fail to address the actual reasons why your child is struggling to eat, right? So today I'm going to walk you through 4 of the biggest reasons most feeding approaches fall short. Okay, what we do differently inside of our program to create lasting change. That's what we're going to learn. All right, I am Christine Miroddi Yoder. I'm a pediatric feeding therapist, creator of what we call the 4 pillars of feeding success. And I'm here to help you turn meal times into something that finally works for your child. All right, so let's dive in. Why do most approaches fail? From someone who has used many failed approaches. Let's break down these reasons. So number 1, and we did talk about this actually earlier in the month, but if you're only focusing on the behavior, and I will say a lot of people actually use, so there's this food hierarchy chart from the SOS approach, which I'm trained in and I love so much. And before I was trained in it, though, I had seen this hierarchy many times. It's like tolerates food in the room, we'll touch it, we'll smell it, lick it, eat it, blah, blah, blah. Like it goes up, right? And I've seen a lot of ABA therapists kind of follow this as a template, but they're not using it correctly. They're using it to make behavior targets. So, okay, you're going to touch it 5 times. And then here's your dessert, or you're going to touch it 5 times and here's your token, or here's the bubbles, right? Or, you know, when you try new food, you get a sticker, or when you get to 5 stickers, you get a reward. And I'm not saying rewards don't work for everybody, or, you know, there might be some instances where a reward can be really helpful, but for the most part, rewards are going to focus on complying with your rules and whatever you want them to do, not connection, not internal motivation to the food. They're only focusing on behavior. So instead, we ask, why are they struggling? Not how can we make them do it? How do we make them eat it? It's not about making them. It's about understanding why they're not naturally doing it. Because I've got news for you. We are hardwired as human beings to seek out food, to want food. A child that doesn't want to eat is a big red flag. Why don't they want to eat? Why aren't they curious about food? That's a natural internal human characteristic that we all share. So if that natural curiosity is being suppressed in some way, my job, how I see my job, is to figure out, why is that? What's suppressing that? Is it anxiety? Is it a gut issue? Do they have a food allergy? Right? There's reasons, is my point. Okay. So number 1, only focusing on behavior. Number 2, ignoring the sensory system. I've heard this one many times. Oh, they're just manipulating you. Their kids are so tricky. He's just being difficult. Many approaches actually miss the fact that eating is a full sensory experience. It requires all of your sensory systems working together kind of in unison, right? And when you just completely ignore that, you're missing a lot of this puzzle piece, right? A lot of why they're refusing. So what we do instead, you want to assess properly and know where they're over or under sensitive within each sensory system and support that profile, because each child's profile is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to help desensitize and regulate their nervous system in a way to help them feel safe enough, calm enough to explore food at their own pace. And it does happen. Absolutely. This absolutely works when we support their sensory system. Kids, even our most fearful kids, do eventually get curious about foods. They start asking questions. They start picking things up, touching them on their own. Kids that would freak out if they even saw a different food on their plate or gag, suddenly are curious. Well, that's not by accident. That's because we figured out what was going on in their sensory system. Okay. Number 3, skipping oral motor development. Very important. Just give them some more time, or they used to eat that, so they can eat it fine if that's not the problem. Many kids labeled as picky have oral motor delays. Okay. Their chewing becomes weak. There's poor coordination, immature tongue movement patterns, but no one's looking at it. No one evaluated it properly. Okay. And I've said this before, but I've gotten reports even from other speech therapists that say, all of the structures and function of their oral motor is within normal limits. But what did you assess? Because when I see the child, I've got a laundry list of things that are not looking right. So it wasn't properly evaluated. So skipping this is very important. But instead, what we want to do is assess how are they using their mouth, not just what's going in it, although what's going in it is a clue sometimes, but how are they using the mouth? How are they moving food around the mouth? Is there an immature pattern for tongue, for mastication or chewing? We have to build the skills they need at eating, not just swallow under pressure. That's not going to help. When kids feel confident about when the food goes in their mouth, that it's going to get to their stomach safely. And again, it's a subconscious thing. They're not like, well, I hope I can swallow this today. Like, they're not thinking that. But subconsciously, the body's instinct is to protect. So a lot of times it's protecting by saying, nope, don't eat that. Nope. And it could be, again, they used to eat that, so they should be able to eat it now. Well, when did they used to eat it? Last week or 3 years ago? Because if it was a long time ago, muscles can shrink or atrophy in absence of resistance. Like any muscle needs kind of like maintenance, Like if you don't walk for a while, it's not like your legs forget how to walk, but it's like you have to rebuild some of that muscle strength again. And the same goes for your mouth, right? But ask anyone who's lifted weights. They do not like to take breaks for long periods of time because, they like to keep that momentum going because, their muscles are going to start to shrink a little bit, just go a little bit back to, I don't know. I don't want to say like normal. I'm not a muscle, like a weightlifter, but I know from my husband, from watching people lift weights, like it's very important to keep that momentum, and you don't like to, they don't like to really go backwards. But what I'm saying is, if you're not using that muscle, you might lose it. And it's not gone forever. It just needs a little bit more re-education, a little bit more practice. But if you don't even know that that's a problem, how are you exercising specific muscle groups if you don't even know which muscle groups are affected, right? Okay, number 4, treating food as the problem, not the symptom. Just keep exposing them to the food. Try some new recipes. Maybe if you made it more fun. Okay, but the truth is, picky eating is a sign of something deeper. Gut issues, trauma, anxiety, rigidity, inflammation in the body. None of these are solved by unicorn plates, Bob the Builder type forks and utensils, and veggie muffins. Okay, what we do instead is we want to look at the whole child, look at the gut, reduce inflammation, healing the nervous system, help feel kids good in their body so they can feel good around food. Food is never usually the issue. It's more of like, well, what am I seeing? What might be causing that? So like what you see is like the end result of them refusing food. That's like the end behavior result of the other things that could be causing it. Okay. So again, let's just recap here. Why most feeding approaches fail: only focusing on behavior, ignoring the sensory system, skipping oral motor development completely, treating food as the problem, not the symptom, and, things like ignoring that gut, right? We talked about that as well. Gut issues are a big reason why kids will not eat. So we talked a little bit about what we do differently that makes things start to stick. So again, kids are not one-dimensional. Feeding should not be like a cookie cutter, one size fits all either. So, we kind of built this program around the truth that it's never just about the food. It's about how your kids are processing the world, how they move their mouth, how their gut is functioning, how they think and feel about themselves at the table, right? So we don't just work on what they're eating, we work on why they're not eating. Do they gag at smells? Do they melt down when they touch food? So we need to then support sensory regulation, safety building, things like that, right? We've talked about this a little bit before. Oral motor, like let's see what skills they need to chew to manage textures and become independent eaters. Gut and nutrition, we have to support the internal side of the feeding. Feeding does not just end when you put the food in their mouth. The body remembers things like pain and discomfort long after, or even when they're sleeping. Like the body doesn't sleep. The body knows if that food is not good for them long before your child will ever register. Maybe that food's not good for me. Okay. But we have to address that inflammation, gut imbalance, mineral and vitamin deficiencies, because if your kid's body is in distress, there is no amount of amazing feeding therapy that is going to break through that barrier. So that is a very big one. So we look at that and we have specialists that we work with that help us uncover that. We don't do it specifically ourselves in those cases, right? So if we're suspecting that there is more going on, we are definitely going to tell you to get this extra testing and get this extra help, because it is imperative to the progress. Okay. Mindset. If the parent is exhausted and overwhelmed and unsure, child is anxious, we have to work on both of you. Progress is going to happen when both of your nervous systems are regulated, believe it or not just the child. So we have to work with the parent and the child on mindset for this to work, for us to make good progress. And this approach meets kids where they're at, not where we expect them to be, right? So a behavioral approach is, well, they should be, they should be eating. So we're going to focus on eating these types of foods, and we're going to do it like in this order, or we're going to follow this system. It's not a one size fits all. We're not guessing. We're not just following a hierarchy. We're not just getting compliance. We don't just treat the food. Refusal, you have to treat the child. And that's why I like to say that we are the first holistic feeding therapist in companies, because you have to look at the whole child. Your body isn't segmented into different parts. And I wish the medical establishment would figure out their crap, because they clearly don't know this yet. But I mean, Western medicine is segmenting everything. The whole body works together. You can't separate the gut from even the respiratory system, because if you think about it, I mean, breathing is the body's number one priority. We've had kids that struggle with breathing, and then the parents are like, I don't know why they're not eating. I'm like, because they can't breathe. Like, your priority of the body is breathing first. If you're not getting enough oxygen, you're not thinking that you're hungry, okay? Your body just doesn't work that way. Everything works together. And if you're not looking at all the systems that go into eating, then you're missing the problem, okay? So if you want to find out which of, these areas are your child's biggest blocker right now, try taking our free quiz. It'll give you some starting points and suggestions at thepickeaterstest.com. We'll show you exactly what level they are, where they're stuck, and we'll give you suggestions about what to do next so that we can start taking apart each of these 4 pillars and figuring out how to get to the root and help your child thrive with food. All right, we will see you again next week. I hope you guys have a great week.
Thank you for listening to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. To learn more about achieving your child's feeding goals, check out Christine's website at foodologyfeeding.com. And be sure to tune in next time to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater.